Okay, here she goes. Hey, Stace.
Hi. Yay.
Not
Hello.
bad.
What's that?
It only took us 2 minutes this time, so we're getting better.
We're getting better. We're getting better. Now the only thing is all the comments are going across. Oh yeah, no, I can see everything. Okay. Okay, don't mind me. How
Okay,
are you, Kathy? How are you?
thanks. I have my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law coming today, so we have a small house to kind of move the kids' rooms. So I'm moving my daughter to my bedroom, her bedroom, and then my in-laws to my son's. So, anyways, it's just a big musical rooms. So I'm just doing that today. But I'm good. How about you?
But you're good now? You're calm, you're
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just working away. So I did take my little break to get my tea. Yay.
Here. What's your favorite tea?
I switch it. Green tea if I'm okay to have caffeine, but I'm trying to, I can't have too much caffeine anymore. So peppermint is and sometimes ginger because they're nice for the tummy.
Okay, Stace. So we were going to talk about sleep today. That was what was requested last week, and I've been trying to encourage people to. And hello for those of you joining us. These are our 10-minute tea talks with Stace and I. And if you have any thoughts, so this is about midlife, in particular about perimenopause. And I know that there's some people here that may not ever go through perimenopause or the menopausal transition, but I'm sure you have friends or sisters or partners that are potentially going through it. And so perhaps this information will be relevant and useful. And because we're talking about sleep in particular today, just kind of briefly, this might be also appropriate for all of us here. So, okay. So, Stace, let's talk about sleep. Tell me a little bit about, from the perspective of weight training. Can weight training be really good for sleep, or can it be, or what about exercising? Like if we exercise, can it not interfere with our sleep? Tell me a little bit about that.
It can. It can work both ways actually. So this is really good to know. What I advise, if I have clients that are having trouble sleeping, I first see if they can make sure they're doing their intense, if they're doing any intense type of workout, I definitely advise doing that earlier in the day. Intense early, light late. So if you're doing a light workout like yoga, Pilates, something that's a bit more, relaxing, not as stressful on the muscles, that can actually help you sleep. But if you're doing a very energetic, intense workout close to when you're going to be falling asleep, it can interrupt your circadian rhythm and affect your sleep. So we want to take advantage of our cortisol levels when they're highest, which is usually optimal about uh, maybe 2 p.m. And when you first wake up in the morning, it's going to be higher because that's what wakes you up. So you want to take advantage of that if you can.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful because I know people go and work out right after work, and if they're working late and then they want to get their exercise regime in, and then if perhaps they're noticing that they're having trouble falling asleep because they're super energized, then maybe, perhaps would you suggest waking up a little earlier if they can, if that's feasible, and trying to do their workouts then?
Sure, if they can. And I know it's hard for people because I have clients that don't get their workouts until like 10 p.m. at night. If
Mm.
it's not affecting your sleep, fine.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing though too is if you're overworking, if you're working out so hard and not giving yourself enough time to recover, that can also affect your sleep. So you got to be careful of that.
Well, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. And by the way, Stacey and I never rehearse any of this stuff before we talk, riffing off each other. But I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things going through the perimenopause, which is defined as really just the 2 years surrounding the menopausal transition. I mean, I know that perimenopause, there's premenopause, perimenopause, and menopause. But when we're kind of going through that transition actively, when our hormones are changing, and we're just noticing things are kind of feeling a bit out of sync or out of sorts, over exercise actually can continue to exacerbate actually your symptoms, because you don't want to be going, and just in the nature of our life is that we're always so busy, and we never give ourselves enough time to rest, and we can't afford to be that exhausted. But especially when we go through this major transition, but when we're working really hard and we're caring for lots of people and then we're over exercising, it's actually just depleting our adrenal system even more, and then it's going to exacerbate our symptoms even more. So I think, like everything, there's that Goldilocks, not too much, not too little, and especially listening to your body as you're moving through this transition is really important.
Right. And so, Kathy, for you, from a lifestyle perspective, what do you recommend to clients if they're having trouble sleeping? And again, this is also about we want quality of sleep. It's not
Yeah.
about necessarily quantity. It's if you're having a restless sleep, that's gonna be problematic as well.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many different factors, because health doesn't exist in a vacuum, and neither does sleep issues. There's multi-layered issues going on. I was just listening to someone talk today, and the question when we go to sleep at night is, I mean, it just rung deep with me. The question is, are you at peace with yourself? Are you at peace with your life? And I thought that was really a profound question to ask yourself, because if we're struggling internally, or excuse me, if we've had an argument with somebody, or if we need to apologize, or whatever, things that feel unsettled, or there's no kind of closure to something from our perspective, maybe that's what we need to do. But I would say, sleep hygiene, I know we talk about it and you hear about it so much, but sleep hygiene, I think we have to really protect our sleep, and we have to prioritize our sleep. So if that means cutting out some of your social events in the evenings, to prioritize your sleep, then that might be something you have to do, which is what I did. I mentioned this last week. For almost 3 years of my life, I prioritized my sleep. I protected it fiercely, because I knew that I needed to sleep better to replenish my body and to get better physically and mentally from having a really difficult postpartum. So I would say, I would also just look at what they're doing for the 2 hours before they fall asleep. Are they on blue screens? Are they like watching violent movies? Are they listening to the news? Are they arguing with their kid? Whatever it is, I feel like we need to find a way of quieting down the mind and the body before sleep, if it's possible, and hopefully you can make it possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was laughing just a little bit because I know it's so true. So many people will scroll on our phones. I'm guilty of it,
Yeah,
scrolling on the phone, lying in bed. I deliberately will not do any work related stuff after a certain time. Now I use my phone. I won't do Instagram or any social media stuff after a certain time. Um, I do use my phone sometimes just to do a crossword, but I like that it's something that will just take me completely out of everything else that's been going on in the day to help
yeah,
me wind down. Because otherwise, I have too much going on, and I need to
totally.
clear that out before, or I will not sleep.
I like to look at cookbooks. I don't know what it is, but I love cookbooks, and I love going through the recipes in my mind, how I prepare it, and that seems to be a way to kind of keep my mind focused. But I also don't blame those of us who have kids working all the time, running around. I mean, the only time we get to a moment to ourselves is at night, and then there's that, the social scroll is a way for us to feel connected. So it makes sense, but it does also interfere. The blue light also interferes with our quality of sleep.
Sure. I like that, the social scroll.
The social scroll, and like earplugs and blackout blinds, and
Yes.
called that you put over your eye, like eye cover
Yeah,
thing,
I know what you mean.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, oh my
And
God.
exposing yourself to sunlight in the morning, first thing when
Yep.
you wake up, can also help get you back into your sleep cycle.
Yeah,
So dark
exactly.
at night, bright light in the morning, just to kind of help regulate.
Yeah, and you know what? I know our tea time's coming to an end, but I think it's like 10 minutes goes by so fast. I really think is coming back to the basics, and we talked a little bit about this last week. Um, it's listening to our bodies, and it's going to sleep when it's dark, waking up when it's light, or I guess in our hemisphere it's dark, as the temperature changes. But I think maybe my parting words of advice, for whatever they're worth to those of you watching, is to fiercely protect your sleep and prioritize it. And it might just mean shifting around a little, making a better bedtime routine and shifting some things around so that you can have really good quality sleep. And
Yeah,
I
and be
suppose
consistent.
and be consistent, exactly. And Stacey, I realized that we didn't even get into night sweats, because I know that that's an issue that really impacts our sleep. Maybe that's something
Yeah,
we can talk about next week.
absolutely, because it does tie in with the working out earlier as well. That has
Yeah.
to do with testosterone. So we can talk about that next week, sure.
Okay, perfect. Before we
Interesting.
sign off, anyone, can you guys hear us? Because I just noticed
Oh my,
Marie saying they can't hear anything. Can someone just let us know if they can hear us? Because
yeah, I mean,
that would really suck.
I can hear you,
I can hear you
but
too. Hi, nice. Okay, so someone can
hi,
hear us.
Joe. Okay, thank goodness.
Okay.
La, 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 la.
Okay, so we have some comments about, thank you, Joe. We have some comments about joint pain. Yep, another thing that we go through in this transition. Thanks, Jeff. And so let's do night sweats next week, because that is like one of the quintessential symptoms that a vast majority of those of us going through this transition experience, and perhaps some lifestyle things that we can do to help. And then the joint pain, I think, is something we should talk about too at some point. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, we'll look over anything you guys write down, because we can always see if we've missed something while we're talking, we can go back and read them after. So,
Awesome.
which
Hey,
we
Marnie.
will.
Friend of mine, Marnie there. And hey to every one of you for joining. It was really nice to have you all, and also participating and adding to the chat. And so Stace and I know, I realize we're a few minutes over, but Stace and I want to do this every week, just as a way to, first of all, to connect and chat, and also to hear what people are thinking about and wondering if they'd like some more information about.
Absolutely.
Here to those.
We'll get better at tightening it up.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Anyways, enjoy your tea, Stace. So
Thank you.
can we do would it be like a high, yeah. Okay,
Or we
we'll
can
see.
just do clink again too.
Oh yeah,
Very
hold
good.
on. Got my
Just
tea.
don't smash your mug.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
And that's
everyone.
to all of you guys as well. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye, Stace.
Bye.